Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down a storm that is about to get even larger across the east coast of the United States. And this storm throughout the day today and tomorrow will bring even more problems to parts of the country, including some severe weather, including damaging winds and even a couple of tornadoes, in addition to snow anywhere from the Midwest and as well as even into the Ohio Valley, back over into the Northeast, where there will be a chance for a winter storm over the next 48 hours. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, and let's begin first with the infrared imagery from earlier this morning. What I mean by that is that this infrared imagery is from about 3 a.m. or so, and something that I want to point out here is that this is the low pressure system from about a few hours ago or so. This system is actually bringing the potential for severe weather today and as well as some snow, but what's interesting is back down in here, look at all that red and even dark red that's appearing back down in southeast Alabama. That is actually where we had a confirmed tornado around 2:30 a.m. near Blue Springs, Alabama. Pretty shocking. It was confirmed by radar, very definitive, a really defined area of debris being lifted up into the atmosphere. And again, it was just south of Blue Springs. And this is an area that we're gonna have to watch for today, anywhere from about Georgia and South Carolina, perhaps even southeast Alabama, into the Florida Peninsula and Panhandle. That's the area that we need to watch for today for the threat of some severe weather. And we'll be talking about that here in just a moment. Also, further up to the north, we have our low pressure system moving across the Great Lakes. At this hour, it's likely closer to areas like in southern Canada. But this is what we're gonna have to watch for, is that as this moves off to the north and east, we are actually going to see a redevelopment of this low pressure system. And what that means is that the low pressure system is going to redevelop closer to areas in the mid-Atlantic region. This will actually lead to some cold air advection across areas in the northeast. And as that low pressure system moves into New England, it's going to allow for some snow and even a winter storm in parts of northern New England, and especially in the higher elevations where many areas could see upwards of a foot of snow, perhaps even a little bit over that. All right, let's break down this storm more in detail for you with the future radar, and we will begin with this morning. Notice the showers and thunderstorms stretching from North Carolina back into the Florida Panhandle. That is where we're going to be watching for some isolated severe weather between now and about the early afternoon hours. What we're going to have to shift our focus to, though, is what we're talking about going into Saturday afternoon and evening. This low pressure system, again, notice, is going to be back up in Canada, but it's going to redevelop on the southern side, or really, I would say central side of this entire system. So notice the showers and snow showers stretching from Florida all the way back up into Canada. This is where we're going to be watching for that redevelopment, and what that's going to allow for is the potential for some snow across areas in New England. In addition to all of this, the low pressure system that's going to be going up into Canada will actually have a strong enough northerly wind to bring some lake effect snow to areas in Michigan, perhaps even eastern Wisconsin might get involved in that. I think northeast parts of Illinois have a small chance of that, but I think it's a very low chance. It's going to really depend on the low pressure system's positioning. Personally, I don't think it's going to be enough for that area to see snow, but as we go into Sunday morning, we are going to have to watch for lake effect snow even in areas like Ohio, back into Pennsylvania. We might even see a little bit of snow trickle down into areas like West Virginia, perhaps even into eastern Kentucky. It's a low chance overall, but it definitely exists. Once we go into early Sunday, that heavy snowfall is going to pick up across northern New England. That is where many areas will see between 6 to 12 inches of snowfall going into tonight and tomorrow. And eventually, as we go into late Sunday, we're going to continue to watch for plenty of snowfall across areas in northern New England. A little bit of snow will approach areas in West Virginia. We might get a little bit near Maryland going into late Sunday night. So keep a close eye out on there, but I think the overall chances are going to stay low. And if there is any snow, it's going to be flurries. Once we go into late Sunday night into Monday morning, snow still ongoing in New England, and it'll eventually really dwindle down as we go into Monday night and early Tuesday morning. Now, long term, I do want to talk about this briefly before we talk about the severe weather potential and as well as the snow accumulation. But this is what we're talking about in terms of the long-term computer models. We are likely going to have a large storm sometime at the tail end of next week. Now, going into late Wednesday into Thursday, there is a chance we get some severe weather in the Midwest. It is very unknown, though, of what that storm will exactly entail. And as we go into late Thursday into Friday, a much larger and better chance of severe weather will likely exist on Thursday and Friday across areas in the southern plains, the lower Mississippi Valley, and eventually going into the Dixie Alley. We might even see some snowfall back up in areas like the Midwest and the Great Lakes region, but all these details remain very unknown right now. I just want to kind of point that out there, that this is something we're watching, but it's not something I'm making a full-blown forecast for right now because we are still multiple days out and there is some uncertainty still remaining with the overall setup of that event. Now let's talk more about that severe weather potential for today, and this is the only risk of severe weather that we have between now and and really about Wednesday or so. So this is going to be it, at least for the next several days. We do have a slight risk of severe weather at the time I'm recording this forecast from areas in southern North Carolina back into Florida. Main concern for today will be damaging winds. That's really the main concern. And there's also going to be a chance for a couple of tornadoes embedded in this area. But I do think the threat overall will be low today. Though that we've had a couple of tornado warnings overnight, I still think the threat today is going to stay relatively low. So in terms of timing, this is around about 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. This is right at 9. Showers and storms will be ongoing across Florida back into South Carolina. The best chance for severe weather, though, out of these storms will probably be around lunchtime and just after that. So around lunchtime through about 4 to 5 o'clock. We'll be watching for some of these thunderstorms to try to rotate, but I think a lot of these are mainly going to be damaging winds. As we get closer to around 4 to 5 o'clock, most of those storms are shifting offshore. Really, the only storm activity that we have left remaining going into this evening will be across parts of northern Florida. So that's what I'm thinking for tonight. Significant tornado parameter gives us an idea of where the greatest tornado risk may lie today. And notice this right about 11 o'clock, the tornado parameter values are the highest right along this frontal boundary, back anywhere from about the Florida Panhandle into parts of South Carolina. That's the corridor that we're gonna have to watch for this afternoon, though, is that tornado parameter values will go up a little bit, meaning that tornado risk will be slightly higher during the early afternoon hours if any storms are able to get going in this sort of environment from about southern North Carolina back into Florida. So definitely make sure you have multiple ways to receive warnings and have a tornado action plan in place. There's a chance we go live, so make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. All right, let's talk a little bit more about this snow potential. We're going to begin with the Midwest and parts of the Ohio Valley. So once we get closer to about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that is when that lake effect snow will begin across parts of western and northern Michigan. This will really pick up during the evening hours, and eventually as we go into the overnight hours, that snow will continue. We might get a little bit again in eastern Wisconsin. It's going to be a really close call, though. The winds have to be going more northeasterly to southwesterly. We're going to have to watch for winds basically going from northeast to southwest for there to be really any lake effect snow there right along the coastline. It's possible, but it's going to be a really close call. I don't think we will, but I'm leaving it at least at a 10% chance there if you're in eastern Wisconsin and northeast Illinois. But again, really low chance. Once we go to tomorrow morning around 10 o'clock or so, that snow is going to pick up across areas near Detroit. But overall, most of the snow will be light. There will be some pockets of moderate snow out of the lake effect snow that happens further down to the south near Ohio. That'll definitely pick up some accumulation as we go throughout the day Sunday and eventually into early Monday morning. Here's what the HRR model thinks in terms of snow accumulation. Again, notice there's a small little sliver there of eastern Wisconsin that might pick up a coating, but that's at best. Many areas in northern Michigan, though, will be picking up around 2 to 4 inches of snow. We'll definitely have some spots near 8 inches of snow, at least an isolated area or two. I don't think it'll be very widespread. Back down in Ohio, most areas will see around a coating to an inch or two. Closer to Cleveland, better chance there for maybe about 2 to 4 inches of snow overall. Back into the northeast, overall, we're going to be watching for snow picking up during the late evening tonight across much of upstate New York and even back into New Hampshire and Vermont. By tomorrow morning, that snow will be picking up across Maine and as well as much of northern New England. And eventually, as we go into the late afternoon, a lot of the snow that we're going to be talking about will be lake effect snow across areas in western New York, Pennsylvania, back even into West Virginia. And again, Maryland, be mindful. There will be a chance for a little bit of snowfall as we go into late tomorrow evening across areas near Maryland, perhaps even near Delaware. It's entirely possible. Will there be accumulation? Probably not, but there might at least be a few flurries out there. And eventually, as we go late Sunday night into early Monday morning, still a little bit of snowfall. That'll be lake effect snow there right in western New York, but most of the snow will be dwindling down by then. In terms of total accumulation, most areas in areas like New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and even back into upstate New York will see anywhere from just a few inches of snow, even some areas, especially in the higher elevations, near 2 feet of snow. Back over in western New York, anywhere from a coating to a few inches of snow will be possible with that lake effect snow. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.